Welcome back, book nerds, to another episode of the podcast. On this episode, I'll be speaking with Grant Newcomb Henderson, the writer and director of Turducken, a dark comedy that follows one man's obsession that grows and grows until things take a dark turn. Let's hear what Grant has to tell us about his new short film and learn more about his film, Turducken. Alright, book nerds. We're now speaking with Grant Newcomb Henderson. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it today.
Great. Thanks for having me, Erik.
Awesome. Well, I know I just introduced you, but just for our listeners, would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little about your film, Turducken?
Yeah, I'm a writer-director based in Los Angeles, and this film, Turducken, I'm always a huge fan of horror, and I incorporated that in this film. And Turducken is a story about a family man who makes a three-bird roast. I don't know if anyone out there have heard of Turducken, but for those who haven't, it's a chicken stuffed inside a duck, stuffed inside a turkey. And upon eating this three-bird roast, he becomes dangerously obsessed with putting objects into progressively larger objects. So it starts with, a fruit, grapefruit inside, and then it just progresses until it's very weird and twisted, which I love.
So where did the original idea for this film come from?
So my sound designer, Aaron Garber, brought this to me. I started a little filmmaker group through Reddit, and I was writing my feature, and I just kind of threw it out to the group, like, I'd love to direct another short film before I do this feature. And we kind of went around the table, and Aaron just threw this out at me, the log line, just as I stated. And as soon as he said it, I looked at my producer, and we just like, this has to be a movie. It's something that's really unique, a unique premise. And I think audiences are hungry for that. You know, there's been so many stories told every which way. And that's great, even if you're telling a story that's been done before, but you do it in a new and different way. But we've never seen anything quite like this. So that really inspired me to collaborate with Aaron and work on the story. And then from there, I went ahead and wrote the script. And and he had all these sound design ideas coming into it and everything. So it was really great collaborative process.
So when you were writing for the screenplay for this, I mean, as a writer, how many iterations do you go through before you kind of are, at that point where you just go, yes, all right, this is the script, like this is what we're going to take and turn into the movie?
Right. Well, through evolving the process, I mean, I've learned to very much outline my work, because when I first started, I realized that if you jump too early into the screenplay, then if you change one little thing, say, even if it's in the middle of the movie, you're going to have problems throughout, because then it's like, okay, well, we changed this, and then downstream we have to make sure. So we made sure, I think we spent a few weeks outlining it, and then from there, once I got a consensus from people that trusted people I get feedback from, I went ahead and wrote the script, and there weren't any major scene changes, but I'd say about six or seven. I mean, there's just always little tinkering that's being done even up until production. But I would say once it was in screenplay format, there weren't any major changes once we were already laid the scenes down and everything, just because of the time we spent outlining it.
Gotcha. So you said that this meal, turducken, is an actual dish. It's a chicken inside of a duck, inside of a turkey. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had it before?
Of course, I had it once before we wrote it, and I just thought it was the strangest thing. My dad was like, "Yeah, we're getting turducken for Thanksgiving," and it's definitely packs a punch, because I think turkey by itself, I'm not a huge turkey fan, but I'm a big duck fan. So I'm like, all right, this makes Thanksgiving a little bit better. We're having part duck in here. We have some nice stuffing. There's all these different kinds. So, and then we added, and then of course, after we shot the movie, we added turducken to celebrate. So, that was a lot of fun.
So I'm just really curious about this because I've never had it. I never even knew turducken was a thing until I saw your film and started talking with you. I'm just really curious. Are the flavors of like duck and turkey and chicken all separate, or does it like come together and form like its own unique flavor? Like, how does that
All
work?
coalesces into this moist, delicious. When it's done right, I guess I'm giving an advertisement for turducken. It's just delicious. It's also very weird. It's not something that you'd want to have like all the time. Um, but yeah, I saw my friend just texted me a picture. I forget what it was called, but it was another one where it was like all the holiday Thanksgiving cakes and pies together. It was like pecan and pumpkin, and it was all layered together. So it's kind of mouthwatering. Now to try that, just who knows how this came to be. They're just throwing different things together and seeing what works. But we just thought that since it was such a bizarre dish and putting something inside of something, that would allow us to, in the beginning, it starts with food, and then as he gets more twisted, it starts with, his daughter's dolls inside of a T-Rex and then inside of a, so it goes into this weird space, and when he becomes obsessive. So we'd love to explore that.
So one of the things I really, really liked about the film was your use of like sound design and music. It really, I felt like really helped drive the story and kind of separate like the average day, like, the family time and stuff with like him slowly kind of like going insane and like doing all these weird like things like, progressive, like, putting things inside of other things. Can you talk more about the sound design and how you went about doing that?
Yeah. I think the sound design really helps become a sort of a character in itself, especially in moments when he's by himself or it's a very subjective point of view. Like, for example, when he's eating the turducken for the first time and it goes into the holiday music that's playing at the table morphs into this kind of twisted Christmas song that's, it's got electronic undertones and everything, and it's very much sort of inside his mind. And throughout the movie, even when he's at the desk and he starts sort of with mundane tasks, but the sound design is giving the emotion to what he's doing and where his psyche is at the time. So yeah, I mean, when, like, again, Aaron and Gustav Rudman, who is our composer, who did some of the more musical parts, like toward the end and everything, they were just very passionate about it, and we would just spend time talking about, how we wanted it to feel and what sort of notes we're hitting there with the music. Another one that was the doorway scene where he starts hallucinating at the doorway. Yeah. And that whole sound design, so that's very much in his mind, and it's just just playing around and seeing what worked. I mean, like I said, Aaron came into it with all these ideas for the sound design, and I think him being a story collaborator as well, when you find a passionate film directors out there, if you find a passionate sound designer, that's going to be awesome, because that's always a real treat to work with.
Oh, absolutely. I think sound design is often an aspect that I think not only people starting out in filmmaking don't really think enough about, and also just from audience members, it's kind of like a secondary thing. Like, you don't really when you're watching a movie, you really don't think about like the score and the sound effects and the foliage and all that stuff, but that kind of stuff can sometimes make or break a film.
Okay. And when it's not there, when it's not working, that's when people notice. People tend to notice bad sound, but they don't like good sound. We a lot of times take for granted. And I think actually one of the festival directors for HollyShorts I saw an interview where he said the two things that are the first to go, and like especially in like short, lower budget movies, are the sound design and the acting. So these are two things that we want to like really make sure that we get right, and not only get right, but do an excellent job. So
I think coming from a fellow filmmaker and an audience member, I think it's safe to say, at least from my perspective, that you guys absolutely nailed it when it comes to the filmmaking and the sound and music design. It was seamless and it worked so well.
Thank you.
So being a writer and the director of this and kind of going from the writer's hat to the director's hat, do you kind of see the film differently, or did like kind of like the vision continuously stay the same, or once you put that director's hat on, do you go, okay, this is how we do the shot, and like did you start seeing the film in a different way?
I mean, I see the film as I'm writing it. I sort of picture the shots in my head and how I try to translate that onto the page for everyone, including the DP, who also sometimes I come into it with an idea and he makes a suggestion, and you know, if I think it works, then we can run with that. So I think staying open to not being too locked in, even when you go into shooting, you realize that, you know, not everything is going to go perfectly how you planned. But like very much when I'm doing the shot list based off the script, and usually I kind of have, I guess not a reputation yet, but I do a lot of shots. So that's one thing that the AD will be like, all right, well, like we got to cut some of these shots. And so there's always that battle going on because I love close-ups and I love insert shots. Mm-hmm. So, but of course, when we're on set with the actors, we ended up having like a pickup day or 2 pickup days back to back, where we were getting a lot of those insert shots that we didn't really have time for. But during production, because we're so focused on getting the shots with the actors interacting, especially like the wide shots and stuff, that we may not have time or budget for to go back and get in a pickup day. So yeah, I think very much visualizing the shots during the writing process is definitely part of the way I work. Yeah.
Nice. So what was the production schedule like? I mean, you said you had some pickup days. Was it did you shoot over a weekend? Because I know short films usually are very, very fast turnaround times, and, you know, they don't have, 7 locations. You get, it was all filmed, I'm assuming, in one location for the most part.
Actually, we had 2 houses that were very close to each other, and we kind of doubled it. Like the garage, for example, was in another house, which was also, it was the bigger house where we had the opening scene with the dinner table and everything. So I think 3 days production. We had a setup day the day before, which helped a lot. I definitely recommend, especially if you're doing anything where like you're gonna be living in that set for a while, for a short film, definitely like if you can get a setup day, it's just gonna save so much time. But you know, we had bumps in the road here and there, but and then we get into editing, and then there was like, I think we had skipped over like one scene that was kind of crucial, but it was him at the fridge, and we didn't have time to get it during production. It was like, we need this scene, so we got that scene, and then just also during pickup days, I think it's a place for, you know, maybe you could have said that maybe like the actors did a great job, but maybe we can punch in for a close up and get a laugh on this line or something. Just little improvements that when you add them all up, I mean, it can make a very big difference. So definitely those pickup days were mainly spent getting inserts, close ups, and more stuff in the garage. When he's down there in his workshop. We just felt like we wanted to go back in that space and really capture as much as we could.
Were there any, during the filmmaking process at the location, were there any interesting challenges or anything that, you know, happened that you weren't expecting that showed up? And did you have to deal with any problems? Because I know in production sets, things very rarely, you know, everything almost never goes without a hitch. You know, you never have well, that was easy. We finished early and not a single issue. There's always something that comes up. Yeah,
I mean, there's like, I'm being careful because if I don't want to like highlight one thing and then someone be like, that was my department. But let me try to think. Yeah, I mean, there's always things that, as a team we face when something wasn't done right, or maybe someone, we're finding ways to work around mistakes as a team. And I think that, but specifically, I really think I gave my team a lot of shots. So that's like, I accept responsibility for that. So, you know, we don't want to push them too hard we really want to spend our time getting what we need. So going into it, I kind of knew in the back of my mind that we probably have pickup dates anyway. So, so yeah, so I guess specifically, I can't think of something that's coming to mind, but
that's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Do you have any particular, like memorable moments on set that like, something was really funny, or like, you guys nailed got the take in the first try, or anything, any real really, memorable moments?
Oh yeah, here's one. This is a good one. So without giving a spoiler, this might be a spoiler alert moment, but
it's your choice.
Okay, will say that there somewhere in the movie there's a corpse, and we had to get it to hang just right. And we had the original concepts, I guess. I wasn't even thinking about it, but we had like a something, a black scrim behind to sort of, and then he was like standing on a box or something, but it didn't look right. So I was like, how can we do this? So we ended up having him like stand, I guess this kind of gives it away, but we just had this solution of like wrapping him in a black satin blanket that was used for the baby carriage shot, which is very much a Rosemary's Baby carriage shot. This is sort of what I wanted. But just when you're just in that situation, you're thinking, okay, what do we have available? What props, what can we repurpose to get what we want, so we don't create this huge thing for VFX? Yeah, because if you want like a corpse, because we wanted the head to be the real actors because of the facial detail and everything, but there, as you'll see in the movie, there is the corpse is very real looking, and that if we did that to an actor, well, we'd probably be in prison because all his guts are ripped out. Anyway,
yeah, it's probably best not to do that to people for just
we nixed that idea early on. But yeah, anyway, just staying open to ideas. Sometimes it's like you're in the puzzle room. If you've ever done a puzzle room or something, you're figuring out like what's the key to getting what we need, and if everyone's thinking about things and coming up with suggestions, then sure enough, you put 10 to 20 heads together, and you guys will come up with something. We came up with something for a solution. And I know I'm describing it in a very vague way because
well, it makes sense to me, at least, and hopefully to our listeners out there, it'll make sense to them. But again, it's a filmmaker. Like everything you're saying, like I'm understanding perfectly, but hopefully our listeners are understanding it as well.
Cool. Sweet. Yeah, and those dolly shots, I mean, we had my DP really fought for this, was a full dolly, not I think it was like a Fisher dolly or something. So it was like a full sit down dolly, and
oh, nice. On the tracks and everything, or
right, like when it's like flying over the table, that had a arm that like went over the table, and the camera.
Oh, nice.
So, like it comes up on them like that, and we're doing those dolly shots. Sometimes you have to do like 10 of them to get it right, just because there's a lot of moving parts. But I think it really raises the production value, and especially if it ties into the story with what you're trying to tell and how you want to open it. So especially
absolutely.
opening or closing shots, I'm like, all right, like this is a very important shot. Like we have to like really,
especially when the first AC loses focus or misses focus, and you're like, damn, we have to do it all over again.
Exactly. So there's a lot of times where, and focus pulling is tough. Like I definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I have so much respect for people who do that.
And that's another thing that only gets noticed when it's bad. So that's like, yeah, there's another role where it's like so critical.
I mean, I originally come from a VFX background, and I know it's the biggest compliment is when people say, "Oh, I didn't even realize anything was done to that shot." It's like when the effects are great, people have no idea you did anything. But when it's bad, like when people are talking about the effects and be like, "Oh, that didn't look good," or "That didn't sit right," or "That felt weird," it's like, that's when you did a bad job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially for movies that are like not like for like Star Wars, you're like, oh yeah, VFX are obvious, but yeah, for this we definitely had like I think about 20 or 18 to 20 like VFX cleanup cues that they just went through, little wires or whatever, just little things here or there, knock out a light or something, and yeah, our guy did that. So yeah, it was a great job.
So, how much time did you spend after filming going through the editing and the sound and music and color and doing, all the post-production work? How much time how much of that work was there?
We spent about, I think, let's see, we wrapped and we had the pickup day in February, and then after the March, April, and then we hit. So I'd say we spent about 3 to 4 months in post, and probably 4 months. I mean, we all have different jobs and stuff that we do, but when we come together, and I was very much closely involved with the editor, Kieran Vibey, and we had a lot of sort of back and forth. And then we released like a rough cut, I guess you could say. Not a rough cut, but one that was seen by a few people that had nothing to do with the project, just to get their feedback. And it was some very thoughtful responses. And I'm trying to think of anything major. Nothing really major changed, but it was still just great to like, and then maybe a couple little things that we did based off that feedback. But all around, I mean, everyone was excited about the film. So I think that was our first good indicator that, we made a good movie. So
nice. What was the casting process like?
I think that was another roundtable discussion where we were just throwing out names, and our producer, Pat Alexander, he's great with approaching agents of actors, some really well-known actors, a couple pretty like, and then someone threw out the name Joe Crest, and he's like, oh, Stranger Things. And I'm like, this guy is like perfect, like, because the character is supposed to be just very like sort of this family man, like forgettable family dad kind of guy, who starts off like very passionless, and through the course of the movie becomes obsessed and finds his passion, but in a very dark, ironic way. And I mean, we had a good, we set up a call with Joe, and I talked to him for about an hour, and was very excited about the role, loved the script. And fortunately we were able to get him. I mean, he brought some things to the role that I wasn't even like expecting him to do, like in the, well, just say the intimate scene where he just starts. I mean, he really went crazy. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he had to do it like 6 more times because he kept lifting the mic. And then the sound recordist is like, all right, I'm ready for it this time. So we got the good audio on it. And
yeah, during that scene, I remember watching it going like, wow, that's a take on it.
Yeah. And that was just like, so that, played, it was bold. And then Lana Young, who did a great job playing Karen, his wife. And she lives in New York. So we actually flew her out here, and she was like, just was perfect for the role. And I just, even, thinking about even the fact that she's in New York and we're shooting in LA, we just had to get her. So, and then Eddie Jimison is Joe's friend. So Eddie did a great job. I mean, how special is it to have this guys like in the Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12 team who comes in and just does like a couple scenes, and we're just like, thank you, Eddie. So yeah, I mean that's I think really important is casting and finding professional good actors, not just your buddies or whatever, unless your buddies can act. I mean, I do have a couple buddies can act, but not just like you know, as a short filmmaker, I feel like a lot of times people will just kind of like, oh, whatever, like casting. But yeah, I think taking it seriously and just you know, even when I was like making my first movies in college or whatever, it was just like, yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely, if you have a good script and a good producer or someone who will champion your scripts, and they call in to the agents and build some excitement. I mean, that's just how you do it. You got to hustle. But it's great. It's great that I'm working with my producer, Pat Alexander. I definitely, he helped a lot with pre-production, especially.
Awesome. Well, obviously I'm getting the opportunity to talk to you because your film is in HollyShorts.
I love it. Yeah.
Which, congratulations on that.
Yeah. I've been catching up on some of the I watched some of the Family Matters block, and yeah, I'm just so impressed with I guess you could say my filmmaking cohort or you know, colleagues. So I think it's just to be a part of this festival is an honor.
Is this your first time having a short film in HollyShorts?
Yes, first time in HollyShorts. So our last film, 2024, played at Burbank, and that was about a year ago. So, you know, yeah, I'm definitely really jazzed up to be in HollyShorts.
Nice. Well, I can tell you that HollyShorts is an amazing film festival. This is now my third time participating in it. This year's a little different, obviously, since it's all virtual. Usually, you know, we're on the red carpet and getting to talk to people in person, which
yeah,
I do miss. I do miss that aspect. But how's the reception been to your film so far? What have the audience members been saying for the most part?
We're taking the Sunday is when our world premiere is. So this Sunday at HollyShorts in the otherworldly shorts block. So
okay,
outside of my friends, I haven't really gotten. I mean, everyone I send it to says they're not going to say it's bad. But you know, I think you know, it's just, you know, it's definitely out there. So we'll see how the audience enjoys it. You know,
are you getting any of the butterfly nervous feelings yet, or you feeling good and confident?
I feel like if it was a live screening, I would be, if I'm in the theater and the audience is there, but because it's virtual, it makes me feel not really the same butterflies I probably would be feeling otherwise. Yeah.
So do you have any future plans in the works? Anything writing wise or directing wise? Maybe do you think you're gonna also stay in the same genre? Or do you want to try like maybe a different like a comedy or an action or anything like that?
Well, I do love action, but I think so right now I'm writing a feature film and really excited about it. It's a drama horror kind of. It's about a young artist who is tasked with building an installation art piece in the woods, in the remote woods, for a wealthy couple. She goes there, and next door she finds out that there's this cult living next door, and she meets the cult leader. And but at first the cult seems very sort of normal, free-spirited, be who you want to be kind of thing, and she gets love bombed and sucked into it along with the audience in a way that it just follows her and it's from her point of view. So she's in every single scene, and he has a daughter, so she becomes sort of this surrogate mother to the daughter. And the cult is based a little bit on Wicca and some Native American traditions. I mean, we're looking at different religions, and because you're creating a new religion and then pulling aspects of it, you know, polytheistic and all this. So I think just like not demonizing the cult right away is gonna like allow for just a greater build to the climax when you find out that, well, it's a cult. We don't use the word cult until, I mean, he doesn't like to, the cult leader doesn't ever use the word cult. So, it's very much a realistic, trying to do a realistic portrayal. And of course, everything with the recent, I can never pronounce the name right, but what was that cult that recently, anyway, that I think there's been movie, Summerland was another one. So I think there's interest there, but of course I'm trying to do something unique and trying to not really, I mean, it's an original screenplay. So yeah, so that's on its way, and I hope hopefully early next year we can start looking to get that off the ground.
Awesome. No, that sounds really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with next.
Thanks. Yeah.
So before we go, do you have any, as a writer and director, do you have any advice for anyone who was trying to get more into writing or directing short films?
Yeah, I mean, finding a good team, I think, is really important. So I did, and I love Reddit. I go on there, and that's a great way to meet people that are into similar things as you. So starting a thread or a meetup group is a great way. I know I met a few of my collaborators that way, and sort of building. I think I've, just from everything I've heard, is a lot of times filmmakers, film directors will sort of build their team of people that they know and trust and love working with. So these last two shorts, I've had a chance to really meet and work with some really great people who I hope to work with again. So, and if you're working with passionate people that are, you build relationships that way. This is how, I mean, indie movies get made, where when we don't have the money to pay what you would normally make doing commercial work or whatever. So that's one thing, is like getting a lot of favors and having people like work below their normal rate. I shouldn't be advertising that, but that's just the way it is with indie movies.
Oh, it definitely is. I've definitely had people reach out and they're like, "Hey man, I love your work." I'm like, "Thanks." Like, cool. Like, I've got a feature film. I'm like, "Want you to do like the color grading or something." I'm like, "Okay." Like, what's the budget and time frame? Like, well, we need this done in about 2 weeks, and we got about $300. I'm like, next. Sorry.
You're like, how good of a friend are we? No, I don't. We like. I will say, like, we try and we're not cheap.
There's a difference. There's a difference between being like reasonable and just being cheap. There's a big difference.
Yeah, exactly. We're definitely reasonable, and so I want to attract people to work with us and say that we're very reasonable.
Well, also one of the great things, about this digital age is that other than the the actual filmmaking process, the pre-production and the post-production, you don't even have to live in the same town. You can live anywhere in the world and just send files back and forth and emails and notes. I mean, other than the actual production, anything can be done. You can collaborate with people on the other side of the world and make a short film.
Right. And luckily, I mean, thankfully, like our pickup day, like I think 3 weeks after our pickup day, like COVID started blowing up. And I'm just so happy that we got that in the can with production, because like post-production, like, sure, we could be remote. Like, it was basically just a bunch of phone calls and talking to the editor, talking with the colorist, talking with VFX and everything. So basically all our post-production was done. I mean, I think we had like one meetup before like COVID, and along the way, I mean, there was already an edit in place when we went into the pickup day and stuff, but so the post process had already been started. Most of the post process was done, remotely during COVID. So yeah, like it's definitely flexible with people. So being flexible like that.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again for not only completing a short film, because I'm sure myself and many other people, our listeners and viewers know that's no easy task to write, direct, and complete a short film. And congratulations for having your premiere this coming weekend in HollyShorts.
Thank you so much for having me, Eric. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic short, and it was great talking with you. Well, I don't know about everyone else, but I think I'm gonna have to try this turducken at some point now. I wish Grant the best of luck with his short film, and to see what he comes up with in the future. Until next time, we'll see you all back here for another episode of the podcast real soon. Any parting words for our listeners before we go, Grant?
Hi, my name is Grant Newcomb Henderson. I'm the writer-director of Turducken, and you're listening to JeanBookNerd.com.